And welcome back to the Winning Moments Show. And I'm joined here with my fabulous co-host, Coach Chris Ward, with Chris Ward Basketball, and Kevin Devaney, the most famous reporter ever to walk the face of the earth in Section 1. I say New York, the world for that matter, but he always corrects me and talks about just limit me to Section 1. So I don't know why, because the man is amazing and he's everywhere. Puts on more miles than anyone I know in his car because he travels around to make sure your kids get notified and put on notice, and that's what we're here for. We got a jam-packed show because we're in the middle of your favorite season, basketball season. Yeah. So why don't you kick us off, Kevin?
It's not a good time to have a leased car, like we put all the miles.
Oh no, it's
on
not.
The no. I mean, it's but it's great going around. This is like of the season so far. I mean, the basketball season. We're like 12 weeks in. Basketball season is a long season. This has been like probably the most active week in terms of like games, upsets, importance, news. So this is a good week to kind of have a show. Like this is it. I have a couple shows, right? So this is a good week to have a show. The headline of the week is got to be Stepinac has 3 McDonald's All-Americans. I mean, so I'm watching this. So I talked about this, but Pat Massaroni sent me a text. Hey, just so you know, McDonald's All-Americans, it's going to be a great day for us. I was like, cool. I'm thinking to myself, he has a McDonald's All-American. And then TV comes across, he's got 3. I'm like, Pat, next time you gotta give us a little bit more, like give a little bit more inflection on the text, you know. But Josiah Jervis,
he didn't use any emojis to like
no,
really
like cheeseburger, like 3 cheeseburgers. I'd be like, oh, maybe,
yeah.
So then he's got Adonis and Darius Ratliff going to USC. Those are 3 McDonald's All-Americans. So it is sparks like some interesting conversation about like, yeah, Mount Vernon, IMG, Oak Hill, they've had 3. Those schools are not what Stepinac is. A Westchester, tucked in, non-boarding, non-recruiting, like at that level type school. It's maybe the first time that's ever happened, and they have 3 of them. It's pretty amazing.
It's unbelievable. I can't recall the last time there was 3
from any team, yeah.
McDonald All-Americans from
but like
the
it was
same
Cooper
team.
Flag, and it was like 2 of his guys.
Yeah, but that's in Mount Vernon.
Right.
You know, maybe DeMatha. We have to check like a DeMatha or a Gonzaga.
I don't think they've.
But I don't think they've had more than 1, maybe 2 at a time.
Yeah.
To have 3s and an absolute incredible.
No, that was a great interview you did. For those of you who do not know that Kevin is the hardest working man on the planet. He also is the host of the Stepinac podcast, which everyone should watch. He did a great job this week talking about the 3 McDonald's All-Americans.
Incredible, yeah. We had
incredible.
Jack Coco was actually our guest. He did not make the McDonald's All-American game.
I love his
3.1 per game. It was the most watched show we've ever had because Jack Coco is the man. And that's kind of it was great.
He plays so hard,
He plays so hard, and he's just a fan favorite. So that's obviously a big thing going on in the basketball world. You know, outside of basketball world, AAU, like this whole week, Chris, what was this week like for you AAU-wise? This is AAU acceptance time, decision time. And that's crazy because I had a coach come up to me and say to me, he's like, you know, I had a girl, like, she missed a practice. And I said, well, and he goes, I have AAU tryouts. And I was like, ooh.
Oh, no.
He goes, what do I do about that? I said, I think you have a right to say something, right? Like, but this is where AAU is, though, and you're obviously in this world a lot, is – you know, they have to start early. They have to get this stuff going. So interfering with the high school basketball season, you're shaking your head.
No, you don't. You don't interfere with the high school basketball season.
I don't know, man.
You don't. You find a way to have your tryout when practice time for high school is not going to be conflicting.
Yeah, this was...
And here's the other thing. We do our tryouts. It's a skill-based tryout. Yeah. We don't play live. Why? Because I don't want to ruin the relationships that I have with junior high school coaches, JV coaches, and varsity coaches in this area because they played live 5-on-5 and turned their ankle at Chris Ward basketball AAU tryout.
I agree.
Oh, I will not be that guy.
Not when your name's on the front of the jersey. They don't know who to call.
Right.
Who do I call?
Can't hide. Exactly. Yeah.
They know who to
can't
call.
hide.
So that's a big thing. So that was something that came up this week. But like of all the things that I've had conversation with people about, that's like got bumped down the list by a couple of other things going on. Well, first off, how when you watched the show back last week, how great was Jake Pampolina? And then
fantastic.
I'll full disclosure, I was dead against having Jake on the show.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
I wasn't gonna rat you out.
Hey,
I wasn't gonna rat you out.
Jake's going for the record on Friday night. Let's have him in the studio for an interview on Friday afternoon. Mr. Superstitious, Mr. Report. I was just like, That's a terrible idea.
That's a kiss of death.
I said,
thought.
and like, I know he only needed 11 points. He was going to get it. Against Tappan Zee, he wasn't going to get it easy, and he didn't. He got shut out in the first quarter, and what I texted
You were sweating bullets, Kevin. John, right? He was like, he's trying, right?
Carl Pampolina is going to kill us, his father. He's going to kill us. Brought him over here, talked about the record like it was done.
But by the way, Carl is the one that reached out to ask if we could all be there, and we could. And I'm like, all right, so invite him to the show. Carl loved the idea. Jake loved the idea. And I told you when you were like, listen, man, 11 points is not a give me in Tappan Zee, this and that, whatever. I'm like, look, I looked into this kid's eyes when we saw him that day.
Yeah,
he came in. He is a baller.
Yeah,
he is a baller.
But you knew when he was here that he was gonna. So he goes out. He has no points in the first quarter against Tappan Zee. Jack McCone, his best friend, defending him like hard, man, like and making everything. And the fans at TZ. I also think he's a high school kid. He's feeling a lot of pressure.
Right.
So he is pressing, and you know this because what did that coach? Every shot was long. Every shot was long. So
The adrenaline. He was long on every shot. He almost missed the rim a few times. So he figured it out, and then the shot he makes it on, it was just like that was a tough.
That's Jake Pampolina right there.
Tough contested shot.
Yeah. Crossover, spin, turnaround, fade away. You know, he's obviously undersized against most of the guys guarding him, and this is how you make up for it. You make up with athleticism and creating space and footwork. Man, it was like I was like, that was perfect. It wasn't like a free throw. It wasn't a layup. It was great.
Good.
It was great.
If you remember though, one thing about last week's show that he said, and I loved it, and we put it out there, where he's like, you mentioned the record. We talked forever before the record, and then you bring up the record.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you know, I'm sad I'm not going to break it at home.
Yeah.
Right. I wish I could break it at home, but I'm happy to break it against my friend Jack.
Yeah.
He didn't say like if. I'm sad I'm not going to break it at home.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I'm going to break it against my friend Jack. Okay.
So that was it. So we have a lot more Jake Pampolina to talk about in the show. He's part of our other segments. But that was great. And he was so gracious. And the way he handled the whole scene, I mean, the scene was crazy. I mean, there's a lot of people at the game, obviously, for any TZ home game. But then you had a lot of suffering people there. You had a lot of friends and family there. And I looked at Carl, the father, a few times, who's, you know, he wears it on his sleeve in the games like any other parent.
He does.
But man, in the first quarter, I was like, I might have to go give that guy a hug because he looks like he needs it right now, you know? So then, you know, everything worked out. He gets in the third quarter of a game they won. So we'll talk about that. But that was pretty awesome. You know, we also have a big game watched yesterday, which was Mamaroneck beating Mount Vernon at Mount Vernon, avenged their loss to Mount Vernon at home. They did it with good fourth quarter execution, man, and that's really what it was. They got down early. Ty Carver has to trust in his bench. You can't. I said this all along. You can't win with two guys. Mount Vernon's had two guys many times, and they, you know, you can't win with two guys being the ones you turn to at every single pressure situation. They got three. They got four. They got a bench. They got guy. You know, so you really saw yesterday what this Mamaroneck team is capable of as a team. Brandon Burrell goes for 22. Jack Plunkett. Will Plunkett is Jack's father. Will Plunkett had 17 and 12 or 15 rebounds. He was great defensively against the bigs in Mount Vernon. And then they just got contributions from other guys that don't look like much, but if you were there, they were a lot. And so Mamaroneck kind of, to me, goes back to the top team in Class AAA, which is really the most wide open and probably the most intriguing class in Section 1. So that was great. You know, we're still going here on the headlines because we haven't gotten to the two biggest ones.
No,
the biggest one.
It's a big week. It's a big week. Come on.
So I'm glad you didn't hit me this week with, you know, I know Jake came in last week. He's going to break the second, you know, what he does. Anthony Ficarrotta, I thought you were going to tell me, was like, yeah, we're bringing Anthony Ficarrotta because he's going for the record on Friday night. He needs 34 points against Irvington, which, you know, 34 points for him. It's like 17 layups. Let's just go. So he's going for the Section 1 record. You know, for Dobbs and Anthony is just another great kid. So you root for him. You want to see him do well. I think it's going to be hard because I remember last year, John, you were there. He needed like 20 something to get 1,000 early last year. He had to do it against Blindbrook, and he clearly pressed just like Jake does. So 34 points not a given. He probably will. I'm going to say going into tonight, he probably will break the record. If he doesn't, he's got, you know, a bunch more regular season games.
He only scored 18 against Blindbrook that time. 2 points. You're pointing to like
might be the lowest point totals he had in 2 years. Yeah.
It's a bad matchup for Irvington tonight.
Yeah, it's not a good one.
It's a bad matchup.
No.
So if he breaks,
I think he wants it done and over with.
I think so too. Yeah. I think he wants to put it past him. He got to the 2,000. What a scene at Dobbs Ferry! I saw the game on I saw clips.
Yeah.
it was deep. Like
Yeah, it was
people
good.
were lined up against the wall.
How did he do it? Contested 3-point shot, maybe a little bit of moving screen in front of him. But listen, it's,
He knocked the shot down.
First I posted a video, someone writes to me, they go, moving screen. I go, yeah, it was. Whatever. It's all. I was like, yeah, it definitely was. Like, push the kid. But he knocks the shot down, just, Joe's 3-point shot. To me, I think if he's going to break the record, I like to see him do it on just like taking 2 guys to the rim, hanging all over him, layup and one.
Yeah.
Make the free throw. Because that's been his whole career. He's been able to do that.
He finds spots. He naturally is in the right spot at the right time, and it's because of his basketball IQ. He just finds his way.
Only 5 players in Section 1 history have ever scored 2,000 points, and they've barely gotten 2,000 points. So obviously, he passed Clyde Vaughn. He had Elton Brand. Clyde Vaughn.
Pittsburgh, Duke.
Yeah, and Clyde Vaughn played at New Rochelle. Elton Brand went on to go play at Duke, #1 overall pick in the NBA, peak skill legend. Bruce Lefkowitz is still, so Elton and Lefkowitz are actually still in front of him. So tonight, he can go from 4th place to 1st place. Which is pretty cool. That's how tight they are. Bruce Lefkowitz, Edgemont, 1983 class.
And UPenn.
UPenn
and had a great career
Unbelievable.
at University of Pennsylvania.
And then #1 is Todd Scott, who I'm working on some things with Todd Scott, trying to get in touch with him because he's a 1983 Peak School graduate. And he's the record holder. So him and Bruce Lefkowitz, people don't know this, they played the same year. So they both broke the record on the same night of the previous record.
That's crazy.
Because it wasn't, because Clive won and Elton Brand were after them. So the record was only like 1780 something, which, only because it was a time when there's no shot clock, no 3-point line. So they broke it, and then it became, okay, which one of these guys is going to finish? Because they would go, literally, Bruce would play on Tuesday and go ahead, and then you'd have Wednesday night, you'd have Peek Skill play, so Todd would go ahead. And the story of those 2 guys, it's really remarkable how these 2 guys, Little Edgemont High School, Peek Skill High School, and how they formed this friendship after high school, through high school, but really more after high school. And the success that these 2 guys had, basketball-wise in college, yes, but in business is off the chart. You would never believe, when you hear, I'm going to do this feature, you're going to hear about Todd Scott's success, Bruce Leftwitz's success. It's incredible.
I believe Todd Scott went to UVA.
No. So Todd Scott,
where did he go?
Todd Scott went to Evansville. Played against Kentucky in the first round of the tournament. Then he ended up finishing his career at Davidson.
Oh, that's
so he was at Davidson.
Yes.
And 80-something games, averaged like 3 points a game. 2,000 career high school points, 3 points a game in college. College game is different.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. I did find, Coach Ward, you have to watch this. 1983, I found a game online, Peek Skill, Ossining. First off, you couldn't squeeze another human being in that gym. That's how packed Peek Skill gym was. They took a 2-hour game, hour and a half game, and they condensed it down to 10 minutes. So it's just basically all the made baskets. The quality of play in this game was, I was floored. Because you think to yourself, like, players now are bigger and stronger and whatever. But high school play, that's like the NBA is bigger and stronger. And,
Right.
And, the athleticism and the Europeans, everything's just different. But then you look at the high school game and you're like, I think these 2 teams I'm watching from 1983 would absolutely kill the teams I'm watching today, outside of Stepinac, right? So just the shot making in that game, the athleticism, the ball movement, and then there was a stress. So John Morrow was an old coach at Peek Skill, legendary coach. Just the way they ran their offense, I think you as a basketball fan should watch this. It's a little bit black and white.
I have to do
You have to check it out. So I put on X. You should totally check it out. So those are the headline. But then I had one more I got to squeeze in here. So I'm walking out the door this morning. And I heard about this yesterday, but today I finally read the article. So Section 1, so New York State is one of the probably, I think it's like 40% of the states that have private schools mixed with public schools as part of their postseason tournaments. Now, there's a lot of states that you can play regular season games against private schools, public schools. When they go, like New Jersey, postseason starts, private schools, public schools, they play for championships. They don't play each other.
They don't mix.
They don't mix. And that was something that, you were around. You were part of New Jersey back when they...
I was there, and my coaching career started in 89.
Yeah.
88.
Mm-hmm.
They, at that point, they had gone through the court system to separate. They played each other during the regular season, which was fine.
Yeah.
Once you got to postseason, you had public group 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which at that time was 1 through 4. And then you had parochial, they called it large school, small school. Now it's non-public A,
Yeah.
Bergen Catholic, St. Joe's.
Because it could be Catholic, could be private, could be charter, right?
Right.
So non-public.
Yes.
Yep.
Non-public A. Larger
You're basically paying cash out of your pocket to get into that school.
Yes.
Or you're going for free.
Or you're going for
really
free.
good. Yeah, yeah.
And then non-public B.
Yeah.
And then non-public B.
Of course.
Which I think is a fantastic.
It's a great model.
It's a great model. It's a model, and I'm not knocking anybody. I love, we love our private school people, but it's a great system for postseason.
Yeah.
And I think it's a system that should be implemented.
That's where like the whole debate is like, I lose people on it because they like, oh, why do you hate Albertus? I'm like, I actually love Albertus. I love going Albertus.
I've known Pat Buckley 30 years.
The players, and I'm not saying somebody shouldn't go to Albertus to play bad. That's not my point, because listen, you're a parent, you have a kid. You make your decisions. You want to go anywhere, you can go anywhere you want, And if you want to go to another public school, move there. That's it. The answers are very simple, right? So it's not like a personal thing, but like for the postseason, winning championships and the advantages that non-public schools have over public schools, to me, necessitates separation. It's just a very logical thing. And I see it work in New Jersey. It works very well in New Jersey, right? So New York State, it's been a long time discussion about like, all right, we're going to separate private schools and public schools. And obviously New York State Public High School Athletic Association has the word public in it. And they have a lot of like the 3-time state champions in football in the highest level are private schools, CBA of Syracuse, right? So it seems like something that's very logical, very reasonable. But I said, if you're going to, the reason why they can't just say, we're just going to do this is because of backlash and lawsuit. Right? So you're going to have lawsuits. You're going to have people around the state saying, no, we have contracts. We have contracts that say you can't do this without our permission, our consent. You can't remove us. If schools like Kennedy Catholic 15 years ago, decide they want to now be part of the New York State Catholic League Association, go right ahead. They can leave. They left. That's it. And they're probably never going to be allowed back in. Now that they're gone, they're never going to be allowed, unless there's a reason, right?
No.
So that's just the way it is. So this discussion goes on, and there's been a debate, and obviously most people just get very fired up about this. And so Section 1...
What's the driving force? Let's just frame this for the viewers right now.
Yeah.
We're talking about the fact that in New Jersey, private school and public schools do not play their playoff games intermingled.
Yes,
right?
correct.
And in New York, we do.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree. There's a distinct advantage of a private school versus a public school because if you want to go to that public school, you got to buy a house or rent a house. If you want to go to the private school, you just got to write a check or be good enough to get the check paid for. Yeah. So in that framing, what is the fire and the controversy that you're hearing
So look
about?
at New Jersey. So New Jersey Athletic Association, which is honestly, I've worked with Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey is really good. They're very organized. The construct of the state allows it to do things that New York, the way it's shaped, like to go from Montauk to Buffalo, it's a long drive.
Yeah.
New Jersey, it could be, you can have schools at the top and the bottom, and it's 3.5 hours. You have 2 highways that just run straight down. It's very organized. It's a big rectangle, basically, despite, it's like a rhombus.
Well, yeah, this is where you inject the soprano soundtrack as we're coming down.
So anyway, we have
Route 17.
we have some challenges in New York State, that whatever. But if the association basically says, and other associations around the country, Mississippi just recently made this change. It's like we run events. Chris, you've run events, you've run different things, right?
Sure.
You have to. There's certain things you have to kind of hold true and are non-negotiable. You need to have, fairness, equity, integrity, right? Those are 3 things that are pretty much. If you don't have those, what are you doing, right? So like, how do you can't run a tournament and stuff and say like, well, the rules are different for them than it is for them, and so I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. This team gets, this team's shooting on a 10-foot rim, but this team's gonna shoot an 8-foot rim. Basically, it's like, no, that's not fair, right? So you have to like kind of hold those things true. So New Jersey people said this is not fair, and that's kind of what they acknowledged that there was an inequity, and we want to make this fair, but how do we do this in a way where we have member schools and make it still advantageous and still something they want to be a part of? Bergen Catholic it is. And they create this non-public, and it is now kind of become the championship, right? You want to call yourself the state champion in New Jersey, you win the non-public. That's basically what it is. So non-public A champion,
in any sport. And
exactly.
by the way, in any football, in the main sports, the major sports, football, basketball, baseball, you're the state championship in non-public A.
Yeah.
You're the best team.
You're ranked
in the
number
state.
1, basically, unless there's a reason why some public school, but it's not even.
It'd have to be an aberration.
So New York now has this quagmire of champions, state champions. Iona Prep's the Catholic state champion. Well, are they? Because the team that won the non-public state championship, the public state championship at the Dome, was a Catholic school. So is Christian Brothers Academy better than Iona? How do you call yourself the state champion when you didn't beat another public school to win? So, all right. So how do you how this all gets done is complicated. But the issue is you have people saying in New York exactly what they said in New Jersey 20 years ago. This is not fair. Public school people, this is not fair. And I've yet to hear somebody counter that argument that it's not fair. So everything you read about, they call up a prominent, they interview a prominent athletic director or coach from a Catholic school who's, when this comes up, and they never argue that it's fair. They argue that it's just not very nice and it's not good for us and it's going to hurt us.
Right.
And like you just know you're skipping you're ignoring the fairness part of this because they know it ain't fair. Like so they understand like there's advantages. And Catholic schools will tell you, oh, we have disadvantages also. It's not easy to get into our school. We have academic requirements. There's a cost. Like we face challenges also. But like that's to me from a competitive standpoint, it's pretty clearly not fair. So New York State has this since I started doing this has been a discussion. So Section 1 decides a couple years ago, Todd Santa Barbara, the executive director of Section 1, has heard enough from his constituents, because that's what he does. He represents the athletic directors, the schools, the superintendents.
For our area.
Those are his bosses, right?
Yes.
They all he works for them, right? So he puts together this like proposal that says we're going to try and solve this. Section 1 has to lead it because we're members of the New York State. There's 11 sections. So he pushes it, he starts pushing this, and it was proposed last year. Got voted down, not voted down like the proposal, but like the idea of even entertaining the proposal got voted down 22-2. It's like, I was like, okay, like that seems like very strange. Like, who's voting against that? Like, what are the reasons? So the New York State Public and Robert Zayas, who's the executive director of New York State, and he also works for the schools and the state association.
Correct.
So
Correct.
He's a representative. It's not like, here's what I think, and he's like some sort of czar. He's not a sports czar, right? So he puts together some committees, and we're going to explore this, and we're going to see how this works. And in my opinion, now this is my opinion, he found some numbers that sort of support not doing this. And he kind of plays those numbers up a bluff. Well, they only account for 10% of our membership, and they win 10% of the championships. And I'm like, you're sort of fudging numbers because that it's
I don't
really,
think that's accurate. I'm just going to say I don't think that's accurate.
It is. So I mean, he wouldn't lie.
Maybe by numerical statistics.
But he's including in that 10% of membership schools that basically don't even compete in athletics, like competitively at all, and that don't have even they might like Greenberg North Castle only has a basketball team and a volleyball team. They're counting the 10%.
Right.
So they're not winning. They can't win baseball, softball, lacrosse, football. They can't win.
It's not by sport or by gender.
It's very
it's broad.
statistics.
Yeah.
You can find statistics that support any argument.
Do you know that 87% of statistics are made up?
Did you make that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, you made it up.
87%.
Yeah.
Just made it up.
If you use throw a number, people believe it, right?
And if you say it convincingly,
yeah,
it's true.
And if it comes from a certain source, right? So
like the internet.
This article gets written this week, and this we're now done a long time on this, but this article gets written yesterday by the New York State Sports Writers Association, a guy, John Moriello, who I love. I think he's done so much. The reason why all state rankings,
because of him.
It's because of him and a gentleman by the name of Steve Grandin, who's out of Albany.
They do an awesome job.
And they're guys who've been doing it a long time, and they tell me, I don't know how much more longer I'm going to do this. And I feel, I'm like, all right, I guess I'm still sort of young. I don't look young. 45 years old. I said, I'm going to try and help them because this is an important thing. Because once these two guys retire, that's it. It's probably not going to have All-State. Someone's got to do it. And I'm like, well, I do the All-State girls basketball, and I'll try and always do it and try and live on what this association does. But he writes this article that basically is just like Section 1 is pushing this, and we don't know why, and this topic needs to die. And I was just like, I tweeted this today, like, am I on crazy pills? Is Section 1 the only one that thinks there's a problem here? Because if you read the article, Greg Ransom, he's a Section 1 executive director. He used to be Section 1's executive director. He's quoted as saying, we have a process and I want it followed, if we start to react because a few groups stomp their feet, we're in trouble. A few groups. This isn't like a small little like a protest here. This has been years upon years upon years of people against this system that has now become a couple of groups, like that's not at all reflective of reality.
The reality
especially
is,
because there's precedent.
Yeah.
There's precedent of it working successfully in other states for many, many years. So it's not like we're the first ones attempting this.
Yeah, I
this
just
coup. No, so
that's where I'm
sorry,
confused, Coach, and I'm just very confused as well.
My thing is this: we all know we're tied into the area here in Section 1. There is whether it's founded or unfounded, there is an underlying resentment toward the private schools being in postseason.
Yeah,
and because of the fact that whether they do recruit or not, or they don't recruit, isn't the issue. The attraction is you're going to that private school because most of the time the private schools are really, really good in that particular sport.
And that's exactly
so why are you going
recruit
there?
You think a girls basketball player who lives in Rockland County needs to be recruited by Albertus Magnus? No, that's just like Our Lady of Lourdes years ago. The sign on the front door does the recruiting. Julia Scott,
it totally does.
Her success and what she's done, like she has built up that school. She's done more for that school than anybody who's ever picked up the phone and tried to call some 8th grader. Like her existence is recruiting the girl, which is totally valid, and I understand it. So this argument and this whole thing going on about private schools, and like it's almost like there's a lot of people now at high levels. And I can't understand why, are like trying to be like, make this go away. Stop talking about it. Is the problem that it's too big of a fight and nobody wants to fight it, so let's just stop talking about it? Or is it, no, we don't need this? Because we don't need this to me, then I'll challenge that.
Well, I think, first of all, I don't see it as a problem. We have a large state. Geographically, we're huge in comparison, John and Kevin, to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. So nobody's saying that you don't play Albertus or Ursuline or Iona or Stepinac regular season.
Of course not, yeah.
Nobody's saying that.
Yeah.
You know, the kid teams up in Syracuse and Albany playing CBA and those people. No one's saying don't play them in the regular season.
Yeah.
So because of the geographics, you can't do it that way just because you're 8 hours away from each other. What we have to say is postseason comes, everybody travels all over the state. If you get to the,
that's the other part too. Is like this: if you try and make a state tournaments and brackets out of the current New York State public schools that are non-public, you're going to have a kind of a weak tournament. There's just go parts of the state. There's just very few of them. I think the only way it ever works is if you got every school in the state, just like New Jersey. So like even the New York Catholic League and other, like Western New York has their own Catholic League that they play. You'd have to get them all kind of invested into this idea, which I think they would, because it would kind of be one true champion and it'd all be part of one governance.
Correct.
Because right now, like those associations are basically held up by like one or two, like New York City's New York Catholic League is being held up by like 2 or 3 guys who have retired as ADs years ago, and they're not going to be around forever, right?
No.
So who's and there's like no one really ready to take over those duties. So
except Kevin Devaney, who needs some more work to do.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need more meetings and Zooms and stuff. Yeah, no. But anyway, so not to belabor this point, but I'm just shocked, and there's a real part of me that says if Section 1 wasn't driving this, if Section 5 Rochester or Buffalo was driving this, maybe the response would be a little different. That's really, and it's a upstate downstate bias that is politically motivated.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get into that,
no.
but it is. There
Correct.
is definitely a downstate. If a Western New York or upstate New York, or Albany or Syracuse, it's an argument. If it's a downstate, it's a complaint, and that to me is why this is probably going to go nowhere now.
I'm gonna interject this. Now, it's a tough job to be in the New York State High School Athletic Association. Oh, but I'm going to say this. This is from a group, though, that had the vision to make us a 6 classification state public school grouping.
Yeah.
Where did we really need to be AAA?
No.
Why?
No, we didn't.
I mean, that was that who we're losing people out of the state, and now we have a AAA.
And
we didn't need to have AAA.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, I love it. I think it's great. It's more championships. It's it's more tournaments, more opportunities for kids to go and compete and win.
However,
but it's about money, man. It's all
That's what it is, right?
Money.
And on that note, you know who we're losing? We're losing the kids watching this show.
Yes.
Because they have no idea what we're talking about.
They fast forward to this next
But
part.
right, but if you have an opinion on it, we'd love to hear it. Kevin brings up a good quality point. Without your voice, there is nothing to talk about. So by all means, hit us up on all of our social medias or email us at shows@thewinning.moments. And now let's bring it to the players of the week, because without the players, there'd be no tournaments, there'd be no debates, there'd be no arguments, and there'll be nothing.
Correct.
And I just want to put a disclaimer before we go through the players of the week. Anthony Ficarrotta, on behalf of the entire show, I apologize before we start. You seemingly can't do enough.
You can't score,
do enough.
No, you can't score like 3 points above your average and expect to be player of the week.
Yeah,
41 is like
2,000 points.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you right now.
Listen,
if you
another
break
day of the office.
we got to bank some of these. Julius Scott, poor Julius couldn't sniff the player of the week for the first month, put up double doubles.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly. But if you break the
Scored
record,
2,000.
if you break the record tonight, I'll do my best to fight for you.
You know a guy. You know a guy.
You know
a guy.
somebody.
Yeah.
I know
All
a
right.
guy.
So players of the week nominees for this week. We'll start with Rockland County suffering Jake Pampolina. So he breaks Rockland County scoring record on Friday night at Tappan Zee, despite all of our attempts, John's attempts to jinx him from doing so. He goes and first off, forget the record. The headline of the night was he won. They beat Tappan Zee the first loss of the season, which that is awesome. So kudos to Jake. And now the gloves are off, I think, on Jake. I really do. I think the pressure, in a lot of ways, I think the pressure for the record might have outweighed the pressure to win a champion. I really do think that. Because one's individual and one is a team. 36 points on Monday and a win over Albertus. 35 points, including 8 3-pointers and a win on Wednesday over Eastchester. I think we're going to see his numbers 36, 35 is high, but his numbers are going to be consistently up there. And I also watched the game, and I just thought, the Eastchester game, I thought I was looking at a different player. Just the way he passed the ball, his control. He wasn't pressing like he was on Friday night. So he's our first player of the week nominee. Next guy, let's do Jack Kavanaugh last. Jake Sheehy of Horace Greeley is our next player. So Greeley's sometimes when teams go through a little bit of a rough stretch, you kind of forget about them when they get hot again. Right now, Greeley's 12-4. They've won 4 games in a row. Last week, he had 32-6 against Peekskill, 29-11 in a win over Poughkeepsie, Poughkeepsie beat Yorktown. So, Greeley's right there. Honestly, Double A is going to be all matchups once the postseason starts. Monday, he had 7 points, 10 rebounds in a win over Harrison. Then Tuesday comes back with 16, 10, and 6 in a win over Pearl River. So they beat Poughkeepsie and Pearl River.
Coach Simone's done a nice job.
He really has.
Quietly, he's done a really good job.
I think he saw his team sort of have success early on. They were hot to start, undefeated to start, go through that skid, and great coaches just know how to turn things back around. And I think a lot of it was just simplifying, letting their offense run through Jake Sheehy. So Horace Greeley, he's our second player. And then our third player is a guy you saw this week live, Jack Kavanaugh, Clarkstown North. So he was he's the football player who plays basketball, right? So he's the quarterback of the football team. That's not really what he is. He's the athlete of this team. And he had 12-5 in a win over Obama in the tournament. So they played the Friends versus Cancer tournament at Obama. He had 12-5 in the first round. Then he had 15-10 in the win over Mayapack. Kyle Kirkland was the MVP. 17 and 10 rebounds and a 1-point win over Tappan Zee. So 3 games in a row for Captain Jack, they like to call him, over in Clarkstown North was awesome. Coach?
I saw him against South. So
Yeah.
I was in the gym for North versus South, and he attacks the basket. Really strong kid. He's a problem matchup. And then he turned around and he starts knocking down threes in the fourth quarter. He made 2 of them in the fourth quarter. It kind of broke the game open. 1-point game at the end of the third. And,
And he does it in that environment. So that you said that the environment was great.
They were giving it to him. The South group was
Yeah.
giving it to him. The Vikings were really giving him the business, and he just responded. And
He likes it.
yeah,
He likes that,
he thrived on it. So
That's
it was
great.
he
He's
was
tough.
really good.
He gives them
Tough.
an element that's championship caliber, gold ball caliber elements.
They're really good.
Rotimi Ciso, Kyle Kirkland, they're awesome. The whole
He's
team,
fantastic.
But he is he's the guy who, listen, we hand out, game day 1, we sponsor the MVP and all-tournament trophy, and would not be shocked if we hand him win or lose, no matter what happens in County Center and the gold ball. I think he's the type of kid who's going to rise to the occasion whenever he plays a big game.
Yeah, they were 4-0 this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big step. All right. So, Coach, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with the young man that I saw play live in the big rival, North versus South, Clarkstown North versus Clarkstown South. Rockland County rock fight. Place was packed. Wasn't fazed by anything, and that's Captain Jack Kavanaugh is my player of the week from Clarkstown North.
That should be a T-shirt. Rockland County Rock Fight. I like that.
Absolutely.
I like that setup. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Jake Sheehy, Horace Greeley. Jake Pampolina. Sorry, man. You're not gonna get this. No. We got Jake, Jack, and Jake. We had to. So I'm gonna go with Jake Pampolina. Obviously, you got all his flowers and everything with the war and everything. So I'm gonna go Jake Sheehy, my guy from Horace Greeley, who I watched him play against Yorktown a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, this kid's good player, man. And so that matchup was a little different. They have some good size on Yorktown. They knocked down 3-point shots, but if there's an opportunity to kind of get the ball inside, let him step out a little bit too, Greeley's gonna be a problem in the postseason. So I'll give it to Jake Sheehy.
Yep.
Jake Sheehy.
And the coach and Kevin's vote are now recorded. They count, but your vote counts the most. So make sure when we put it up there, you guys participate and vote because that's what the kids count on.
All right.
Players of the week, girls.
Girls. All right. She's been player nominated a bunch of times. Claire Schnecker, Ossining, goes for 1,000 career points in a win over Ursuline, 21-12. They come back. They had a tough road game. They lost against Clarkstown South. They had 21-20 in that game. She continues to play at such a high level. And again, talking about matchups in Class AA on the girls' side, it's the same deal. Basically, it's, how do you avoid Rye, and then how do you match up with everybody else? Because we saw Nyack lose this past week. We saw a lot of things happen, and these teams all kind of Suffern beats South beats Ossining losses. So like it's all kind of mashed together, these teams after Rye. So that is one.
Yeah, talk about the jinx, by the way. Okay, I mean, put me at the jinx with Jake, but I think every team that you mentioned that was undefeated or had a run, back in the day, I think it was Iona, and then now Nyack, and then something happens before.
They lose.
Yeah.
Didn't Nyack lose to the Irvington girls team?
They lost to Irvington.
Yeah.
They were shorthanded.
And the young lady, who's the young lady coaching the Irvington girls varsity?
Coach Degnan.
Coach Degnan.
Yeah.
We know Coach Degnan very well.
Yeah.
Assisted in her development back in the day. What a nice young lady.
And a whole family, yeah.
And
that's a big win for them. They needed that win just
They
because
did.
of it's been up and down season. I was taking over for Gina Marr. It's got to be tough.
Absolutely.
But she's done an amazing
She's done a great
the way, The
job.
style that she implements, they get after it defensively, they extend, they press a little bit more than Coach Marr did. Marr liked to sit down in a half court a little bit more and maybe not go so much into her bench. So Coach Degnan putting her wrinkles on this team.
Great family. Great. Happy for her.
Yeah, totally. We'll skip down to Mahogany Felix at Poughkeepsie. I've liked that every week. We've tried to shine a little bit of light on some teams and some players. Like this is another team that's in the developmental league. But Mahogany Felix is legit. So she starts as an 8th grader 2 years ago, only a sophomore now, and she's just been their rock for the last couple of years. You thought like if they ever got her some help on this team and some veterans and some girls need to mature. Poughkeepsie could come back. They're going to go to Section 9 next year, and with Mahogany Felix and this team that continues to get better, very young core, like they could be a factor in Section 9 for sure. It's going to be harder in Section 1 in Class AA, but in Section 9, they can definitely do it. She had 24 points against Sleepy Hollow in a win, 22 against Peekskill. She is like, you just sign her up for at least 20 points every game, and sometimes she goes higher. So she's a terrific player, terrific all-around talent, 5'8". And then Julia Scott from Albertus Magnus is our 3rd Player of the Week nominee. We got to make up for lost time for poor Julia. So she's 23 points, 23 rebounds, 8 blocks against Suffern. 24-13, 5 assists against Mamaroneck. She kind of does whatever it takes. She's closing in on Rockland County's all-time scoring record, which is held by Stephanie Cleary, now Stephanie Mills. Stephanie Cleary, 2,155. She's like 100, maybe less than 100 points off, so she's probably going to do it. They have Albertus has a lot of games left ahead, so she has a chance to shatter that record pretty good as long as she stays healthy.
Listen, I think it's the year of record breakers. Because it's just insane. Every time we have the show, every week there's another record being challenged.
It's amazing
or broken.
this year. This year's been astounding.
Like you said, Kevin, it's not like it's 5-year record. It's a 10-year, 15-year, 20-year, 22-year. Like it's crazy. All right, Coach, we'll start with you again. Who's your girls' player of the week?
I'm going to beat Kevin to the punch.
Nope. Julia Scott. I just said it. I said it first. Sorry, Coach.
Yeah, that's
Gotta
not
get up early in the morning, Coach.
All right, so Pat Buckley needs to know that I was going to go with Julia Scott, but
Allegedly, because Kevin said,
Coach, you held your dribble out right in front of me. You were doing this, looking right in the eye, looking at your teammates like this.
You just took it and said cookies.
I just tipped it.
You just
such a good analogy. Cookies.
There you go. So Julia Scott is our player of the week.
I'm going to go with Ossining's Claire Schnecker.
Okay, so you're gonna. That's fine. I'm glad. I like when we don't pick the same player.
Claire's done a great job this year and continues to do so. She's putting up great numbers, and we've talked at length about her incredible improvement from last year. So she's my player of the week.
I mean, listen, one thing I love about all these girls, and we don't have the rebounds for Mahogany, but double-doubles.
Yeah.
Double-doubles are something
She's probably
that,
getting close in steals because she's a terrific on the ball defender.
right. Either way,
I mean,
steals and
Mahogany,
rebounds,
we'll probably revisit Mahogany
Yeah.
Felix at some point.
I think
before the end of the
double-doubles
year.
are a stat in high school basketball that are that's your dog, right? Because they're playing on both sides of that case.
Yes.
Obviously, unless it's assists, but still, you're making plays, and I think double-doubles. Coaches, if you have stats on your double-doubles, please send them to us. We'd love to have the players that have the most double-doubles this season, and we can do a segment on that.
Cool.
All right. We're done with the players. Now let's move to where the coach's favorite part of teams of the week, because it's a team game.
It most certainly is.
And coaches matter in that team.
Yeah.
So, Kevin,
I
who
want to
we
tell you a
got?
great story. So our first team of the week now is Bronxville. So Bronxville wins the state football championship. Season goes into December. Some of their main guys, all football players, coming over, and the transition was not good. Not good early on. I was at the first game, and poor Coach Kears. I wanted to go, and I said, you got these football guys. He goes, yeah. They literally were playing like a week after. They got enough practices in. And you watch them against Byram Hills, and you're just like, oh boy, like this is not good. Like Bronxville definitely has some talent, and they have, Coach Kears has done a great job of just like building in the last couple of seasons. And you thought to yourself, like, well, this football thing might really just hamper basketball. Well, they're back. They've won 4 games in a row. They got to 8-8. They've kind of scratched and clawed the entire way. And even in some of their losses, they've been tight. So as I said, started the season 1-5 off the football state title run. Since January 1st, 7-3, 2 losses by 1 point, one to Hastings, 2 losses, 1 point loss to Hastings, a 2-point loss to Westlake. 2 very, very quality programs that they're right there with. Desi Heathwood, who was one of the stars of the football team, backup quarterback, wide receiver, 15 points against Hamilton. Brady Dolan, great defensive player on the football team. He had 12 points against Hen Hud. Theo Hoffner, and Desi both had 14 against Eastchester. Desi had 19 against, in their next game, not against Eastchester, my notes are wrong, but he's just been continuing to get better and better. And Bronxville is a team that nobody's going to want to face in the postseason because they've got basketball rhythm back. They have a tough schedule to finish here, but basketball legs are back and proven winners. And I'll take those 2 things together.
Absolutely. Desi Heathwood and Quinn Hirschberg, who's on the team with him at Bronxville. We worked with them when they were younger kids in player development, so I know Desi. He's a fantastic athlete. It appears like coaches got him going in the right direction with regard to the balanced scoring. Anytime that you see 4 names on as our team of the week, you know that they're going in the right direction. Mm-hmm. So credit him, and he's been in that job now 2 years.
Yeah,
almost 3. Yeah, is it 2 years? Yeah. And for him to take this program and kind of reset, it's a credit to them and the kids.
So they have Rye tonight, Friday night. They have Croton Harmon on Monday. They finish with Pearl River and Blind Brook. So challenge, tough schedule in Class A, but dangerous team in the playoffs. So also another dangerous team in the playoffs, and also in Class A is Nanuet as our next team of the week nominee. They continue to climb up the ranks. So, they don't get talked about because of Tappan Zee, Pearl River. But Nanuet's now 9-7 on a 3-game winning streak, 4 losses this season by 4 points or less. So you and those are 4 points is basically 1 possession. It's could be some free throws at the end that steals games. And they've been right there. They had TZ beat. Bad call. We talked about this last week.
Yes, we did.
This group that they have. So when you look at the teams in Class A, you got to match up at all 5 positions, right? And you need to have matchups at all. You can't have players on the court. You know, you can't have a guy who's just not going to be a threat offensively or not be able to guard the guy. And they have their core: Luke Peterson, Ford Banton, Mackay Vines, Boris Berthamo, and so Dave Messerson. You know, his teams are always going to be prepared. We've talked about him. We've talked about him very glowingly this season. But Nanuet is they have Pleasantville on Friday night. Another good test.
They are a real problem for anybody.
Yeah.
They're physical enough, John. They got enough length. They have enough strength, so you know it's not straight finesse. And their point guard, the lefty, is really good, number 4. I really like the way he plays.
They're not going to get one of the top 4 seeds. It looks like Tappan Zee, Byram Hills, Westlake, and Pearl River kind of locked at the top 4 seeds. They could definitely pass Somers and get the 5 seed, and they played Pleasantville, who the tie was 6 tonight. So they have a chance to secure a home game in the first round And then there's a chance that they could line up with Pearl River. So Pearl River's big advantage in the postseason is always going to be home game in Rockland County. Westchester guys come over and take your loss. Not a big advantage when another team's Nanuet. So it's going to change the whole dynamic.
Coach Houston's going to have some sleepless nights before that game.
He does not want to face them.
No,
Definitely not.
That's not a great matchup.
That's our next team. And then the third team, let me see. I'm going to Stepinac. They won 4 games in 6 days. 3 McDonald's All-Americans. 5th straight league championship. They got it going on pretty good there at Stepinac.
They do, and they do.
Things are going well.
Just a little.
Progress is good health.
Yeah, I think they're going in the right direction.
And then, I went there on Sunday. I brought my son. My son Dylan and his team, the St. Pat's team, coached by Matt Bax and Sean Stan. So, by the way, we
great
talked about
high
Sean
school.
We're gonna.
Yeah.
Right?
So 2 high school coaches brought the boys into Stepinac to play at halftime. Coach Pat Massaroni invited us, and it was awesome. The kids had like the greatest time, and you realize just like. You bring an 8-year-old kid in and you put 7-foot players and Division I players, they're dunking all the place. You realize that, like, man, I don't have to buy Knicks tickets. Like, those are expensive. I'll just go to Stepinac. Like, honestly, like the way that my son and the kids on the team just like love the experience. And then of course, like shaking hands on the way out. Like that was great. I think if you're not taking advantage of that in these final weeks to go see them play, to go to their final home game on Saturday, like you're missing out. You're missing out because it's especially for young kids. Just get to watch them.
When you posted it on IG, it looked Instagram. You could see the thrill on their face.
Dylan Devaney
What an
was
experience.
0 for 8 from the floor. He did the big ball. Like they gave this, the ball.
They didn't do the 28.5.
Yeah, that was a game changer for some kids. Like they were like shooting a medicine ball. But it was a lot of fun. It was just great to be there.
I got to tell you, to his credit, Coach Pat, they were the number 1 team in the nation, right? They looked discombobulated. We talked about this early on, right? We talked about on the show, like, okay, who's going to be that point guard?
Yeah.
Who's going to bring them together? And now, like, the rhythm that they're in, you would believe that they're basically where they would be in the beginning of the season, the number 1 team in the nation.
They've taken, going into the other night, they've taken 391 3-pointers in 20 games. So like 19.5, close to 23 pointers a game, which I was like, well, that was their undoing, right? That's what their problem is. And then I look back, and all the teams that won the championship were over 21 3-pointer attempts a game. So like that's what they do. And so people were critical of the 3-point shooting and how they wanted the 7-footers, Adonis Darius Radley shooting threes. That's just the way they play. It's just that's what they were running the offense is what they were doing.
Right.
You know,
running the offense. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that what we said early in the year about when everybody figures out their role and when everybody figures out how to get plugged in to what they want from their system for their system, it was going to start to look like it looks now.
Yeah,
totally. All right, Coach, who you got for your team of the week?
I'm going to go with my guy over there in Rockland County. I'm going to go with Coach Dave Masterson. A lot of times, Nanuet they're kind of under the radar. And I think that he's got a really good group that everybody knows is on the radar, and they're a threat and they're dangerous. And he's done a great job over there for many years. So my team of the week is from Rockland County, Nanuet High School.
They're not under the radar anymore. They are absolutely on the radar, as you said.
So I get to pick between Stepinac and all the Americans or Bronxville.
Or Nanuet.
I'm going Bronxville. No. Listen,
okay.
Stepinac we expected.
Yeah.
The nominees, the McDonald's All-American stuff. It's great, and it's so great for this area and everything.
It is.
But Bronxville, I like the story. What's going on in Bronxville in terms of just how they're fighting back. It would have been very easy for a lot of these guys to just say like, all right, because they also play lacrosse, all of them. So like, let's just say,
crazy.
and they're probably going to win lacrosse. So they're basically, let's just turn the page. Basketball will have fun, but like, no, they're out there competing. They're a very good defensive team. So I think I'm going to give it to Bronxville as my team of the week this week.
Love it.
I don't care about McDonald's. Although I might eat some after this.
Oh, my nose, right
there.
over there.
Well, that should be. Listen, the poll of the week should be McDonald's or Shake Shack, which is the better burger. So, Coach, you want to chime in? You want to chime in on Shake Shack or McDonald's?
No, I don't.
No, we're not sponsored by any burger company.
I know,
so by all
but you
means.
never know. You never know.
I'll go McDonald's. I mean, this is even a discussion.
I'm just going to say I'm loving it, and I'll leave it at that.
Shake Shack. Go on. Let's just move on from this.
Let's move on
Fast food, bad eating.
And so let's
John
move on.
has
now.
not had a carb in 10 years.
Correct.
Listen, I'm not Tom Brady, man. I eat carbs. I eat a lot of them. All right. Week 10, girls.
All right. We'll start with Brewster, team that no one really talks about, but they're 12-5, and they have a chance to win some games here down the stretch. 3-game winning streak that was stopped with a 2-point loss to a 15-1 Nyack team. They had chances against them. They beat Mayapack, which was a bit of a surprise. Beat North Rockland, big AAA school, in back-to-back games. So I like what I've seen out of this Brewster squad, and they're doing it with youth. They have 4 freshmen on the roster who all play and contribute.
Wow.
So Brewster's a team that's, a team for the future. But right now, you never know. In a playoff situation, they'll go on the road. Another team they kind of remind me of what we saw from Nyack last year, where like you thought to yourself, like, this team has a chance in a couple years. So I think Brewster's, they could go 4-0 the rest of the way and be hosting playoff games, not necessarily going on the road. So they're my first team. Next team is Pelham, 13-4 in the season, 5 wins in a row. But the wins are pretty darn impressive. They beat RC Ketchum on Monday.
That's a great win.
At home. So first off, credit to Tim Petrulli. That game was a neutral site game. And it was like, okay, so we had to reschedule this game. It was supposed to be at Irvington in the Autism Classic. Is the game going to be at Ketchum or is it going to be at Pelham? So if you look at a map, it's like North Pole and then the equator, basically, is what you're choosing between. And Tim Petrulli won the standoff with Coach Pat Mealy, getting that to be the game of Pelham, and then treated him to a loss.
Served them right. You come to my house, I got to serve you right.
This Pelham team, I said it about 3 or 4 weeks ago. They had injuries, and they've been kind of players going in and out. When they're never going to be full strength with their point guard out. But Colleen Sheehy, 31 points, 11 rebounds in a win over Ursuline, which is the other win they had this week. That was huge. 16-7 against RCK. Emma Namba, 17 points against Ursuline, 14 and 4 steals against RCK. And then Brooke Green, 15 rebounds, 8 points. And then she had 7 rebounds. She can't get the double-double because they don't pass her the ball, I guess. But she has 15 rebounds, 13 rebounds against RCK and Ursuline. And so Pelham's my next team of the week.
Coach Petrulli does a great job. We have to remember, people don't know this, but 2007, 2008, head coach of Maria Regina's state championship team.
Yeah.
Then he moves over to Pelham, and now look at what he's doing, at what he's done at Pelham for the last umpteen years. Yeah. He's got a great team. They're all healthy. You said it. Once they get everybody back, he's dangerous. He can win it all.
Yeah, they definitely can.
Yeah. They can win it all.
They have the depth, and really what games like that do is kind of prepare them for our next Team of the Week nominee, which is Tappan Zee, which Tappan Zee is going to get after you defensively, and they have good length. So, Coach, Tappan Zee, it's one thing, teams that win, and all they've done in Section 1 is win. They're undefeated in Section 1 this year. You worry about complacency sometimes, and you don't want them to get complacent, and Tappan Zee is not. They've won. They're on an 8-game winning streak since they lost their games down in Florida. Emma McHugh had 17 points. Adriana Diorio, 23 points in a win over Irvington. Emma McHugh had 22. Diorio had 16 against Hen Hud, which was a lopsided. That was a blowout.
I was there. Yeah. I saw that game live.
All right, so, and they also beat Suffern 46-41 on the road on Friday. So we went on the road and won a tough environment. But you saw it, Coach. You seeing a team that's just like, damn, getting better, man. It's
Riley Chevrier. That team plays as close to a college level pace and tempo, John, on the girls' side, as close to a girls' college program that I've seen. She runs that secondary break. They get up the floor. John, Kevin, they fill the lanes and they pitch it ahead, and then they run their stuff.
Yeah.
And then she runs that circle offense. Man to man, and she gets McHugh going downhill. Lefty, 5'9", strong. It's over.
Yeah.
You're fouling her.
I watched some of the sets they ran for Eve Girardi, who we didn't mention, but she's their superstar 3-sport athlete. And just some of the things they do, just a very subtle movement that sets a screen, and it's basically like you're almost like a player pushing her defender into another defender, creating some, and then Eve Girardi leaks out, foul line, jumper, nails. Like
she's very good too.
She's very, very good. I mean, it's like
Girardi, Diorio, McHugh, Donley's an 8th grader.
Yeah.
Alyssa Sanchez is a sophomore. Devin Cooney is a big difference for them. She's a difference maker. 5'10", John and Kevin, with that interior presence, and she's a really good player. Great passer out of the post, and she hits those girls where they're standing there wide open on a catch and shoot 3. Because Devin is offensively a big enough threat that you've got to respect her when she does have the ball in the lane.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Coach this excited
They're really good.
Since karaoke.
Well,
they're really
they're
good.
a coach's dream to watch.
Oh my!
They really are.
It was a pleasure to watch them.
Yeah.
I
watching
love.
them.
I think Riley does a fantastic job. They're really good. They got the 8th grader the freshman Addie's ass. She was really good. I mean, they're really good. And listen, defense to Hen Hud, Maria Rivera was out with a concussion.
Of course.
I know that hurts them, but I got news for you. They put up 42 points, and they did it pretty easy.
Yeah. No, they did.
In the first half.
Yeah, in the first half. That's what I say.
Yes.
So they're impressive.
They're really
so
good.
those are the teams of the week for the girls' side.
So we'll start with Kevin. Who you
All
got?
right, I'm gonna go TZ because I know Coach. No, Coach. I'm gonna say I'm still gonna go TZ.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Because as we said, I watched them on. You were at the game. I was watching them online, and they're one of the few teams that I would say I hit the rewind button a few times. So I was like, whoa, how did they get that girl so open? And I watched it. I was like, that was impressive. Like the sets they run, it's and I think if you were scouting them, like a lot of people scout, and they say, well, how big is that girl? What did she do? It's more like, how did they get so open? And that's really what's
They
impressive
run their stuff real well, and Coach Chevrier is not tolerating a lack of execution. I leave it at that.
Okay, I like that. That's good.
I'll leave it at that. My team of the week.
Do we have to ask?
No, it's Coach Tim Petrulli and Pelham.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beat Ketchum, beat Ursuline. That's pretty good.
Listen, you beat Ketchum and Ursuline in the same week. You've had a very good week, and now they're healthy. Who wants to listen? Who wants to face him? Because he coaches his kids. There's no. I love coaches where there's no option to execute. Either you execute, or you do what we're doing.
They have depth,
but you try not to hit the monitor.
Yeah, you almost got that monitor.
You try not to hit the monitor when you sit on the bench. You try not to hit the monitor.
I felt John's anxiety.
I know. And Claudio was like this. Oh my! Please don't lean back.
Claudio's like, sit still. Stop moving around so much. I understand. Well, listen, before we get to the next segment, you did bring up the Obama coach.
Yeah, Sean Stahn.
Sean Stahn.
So he gave me these shirts. So we made a comment a couple weeks ago, maybe like a month ago, about how, you said, John, you could use, I spoke to Pat Riley, you could use 3P because they won the Yonkers City Championship for the 3rd year in a row. And you said, we spoke to them and you could use 3P on the T-shirts, and they did. And no, but they didn't need it permit. They did it already. They had those T-shirts.
They already did it. So we want to thank you for the shirt.
Yeah.
We're
Absolutely.
sorry for the delayed thank you. We just got them in our hands today.
Yeah.
Kevin's been pretty busy
I put them
running
in the
around.
trunk, and I was like, I got to bring them into the show. I brought a different car, and they've been in the trunk for a while, and they were freezing cold when I took them out of the trunk today. I was like, I can't believe how cold these T-shirts are.
Listen, they were not cold when they were playing. Look at the fire on this.
Absolutely.
On this shirt.
The lightning.
Really good looking shirt.
Lightning.
Yeah.
A little known fact: Coach Sean Stahn, Coach Matt Calabro, college roommates.
Yeah, and so they play
at Mayapack.
So they play this the event. That's why they do the Friends vs. Cancer, and they used to play with Valhalla because their former coach. And also Kenny Amparo, obviously they all played together in college. Yeah. So.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so listen, before we get to your next segment, right?
Yeah.
Pull up the social media outreach card.
All right.
I got a little.
So these are the people that have reached out to us?
Yeah, people that have reached out to us that want to add some people to the show.
This would be a great way to put in a fake name and make it say something bad.
It could. Well, we're never going to talk about the bad stuff. We don't believe in lowlights on this.
Alex Vasquez,
show.
I know exists, and he's real. Alex is from Saunders, went over 1,000 points scoring this year.
I saw that.
So Alex is a terrific player, and I actually, they're in the developmental league. They're going to make the Section 1 playoffs. I wish they weren't. Because I don't think they belong, just based off the scores and what they're doing to the other teams in the league. I think they're like Roosevelt. They had a team with Alex Vasquez that would allow them to compete with teams in the section in the regular season. I don't know if they would have gone. I think they're 12 and whatever, 12 wins. They might have won 12 games, but I think Alex Vasquez on a given night can compete with any players that they had in Class AA.
So before we go to the next one, we're going to do a little fun segment here, okay? Because it's going to drive Coach crazy.
Yeah.
If you don't know, I am notoriously bad with names.
No, you're
No way. You call me Kevin Delaney?
What?
Yeah.
Notoriously bad on saying names. The guys helped me practice it. They actually gave me some methods to do so. I'm grateful for that. I'm going to read the Instagram handle of who sent us this while you could talk about the individual. So from @ish.carino, we have a shout out to
Alex Grulon. YMA, 1,000-point score. Went over it this past couple weeks ago. So Alex Grulon's Terrific player. So good shout out, and that's a good one. So that one checks. We're good.
That one checks. Now we got at Guapo.
I'm just happy I'm just happy you could pronounce that right, because there was a question about whether you're going to get that right.
You're bad at remembering names, but also announcing names, pronouncing names.
Yeah. Listen,
it's all good. You're good at many other things, John.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
gotta understand your
Woodlands,
shortcomings.
Guapo just wants a shout out to I think that's for some reason I remember that being maybe Sebastian Benitez, who plays for Woodlands, but I could be wrong. That's Woodlands, little shout out. Next one,
deservable shout out.
Woodlands shout out because they beat Rye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they beat them in
They're
a
in
big
that
way.
shout out,
They
yeah.
rebounded from that Tappan loss pretty well.
Yes, they did.
That was impressive what they've done.
And then we got at Hollywood 170.
D170. That's it. Just want to shout out to Clarkstown North. Clarkstown North is maybe done. We did that already. They've been
deserved.
terrific.
Deserved, yeah.
So they of course North.
Then we got the at Ella_La_Marina.
Bryce Seward from New Rochelle. Give him a shout. He's we saw him at the county center. We saw just how much defense he could turn defense into offense, and shooting ability. New Rochelle goes and beats White Plains pretty convincingly on the road the other day.
Big
And so
win.
that was a huge win. So they want, they don't want to be, and that nobody wants to be past 4-5 in the seeds, right? So Mamaroneck, Mount Vernon, North Rockland pretty much locked into 1, 2, 3 in some order, depending on how last week plays out. But you want to be in the 4-5 matchup. You want to get that home game, 2 home games to go to the county center. Only going to be 8 teams in the playoffs. So it's going to be one game you need to win. So get that home game and be in that 4-5 game. Avoid those top 3, and you go to the county center. And New Rochelle made a huge step in doing that. And
They totally
Bryce Seward
did.
was a big
Totally
reason.
did. And Ali Santiago 16.
Aaron Woodbury. We all know Aaron Woodbury, right?
We do.
We sure do.
Gifted shooter, terrific scorer.
Fantastic player.
Leader of this
6'4".
Woodlands team. Yep.
I think, like I said, in the right place. He's a scholarship player at the Division II level. I think he's really good, and he's a great kid. Comes from a great family.
This is funny because I can tell now on this list, as I start to read it, I'm not nervous about anything, but I can feel Coach's energy of his heat, nervousness of this next one. At Cactus Jackalete.
Yeah, it would say that. Ethan Senatis from Albertus Magnus. Shooting guard, Albertus Magnus boys. They're coming. We've talked about this, about the youth. They have DJ Lewis and Joey Buckley. So they have a chance.
Joey Buckley. That name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
that we've had this family lineage issue that we may not have known that somebody was a sibling of somebody or the father or
I'm launching an investigation into recruiting of Pat Buckley having his son go to Albertus Magnus where he coaches.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
They're the
exactly.
Best. They're the best. Joey Buckley's been nails. He's been nails in some games this year.
So Ethan and Joey, unfortunately, I saw last spring, and they put it on us.
Yep.
And I want to say
another class 28.
they're very good.
Yeah.
And I want to say this, and Pat coaches those 2 kids. He's done a great job. But I want to say this, Patty McFadden doesn't get a lot of exposure and publicity. He's done a great job over there for the amount of time I've been here, 24 years.
It's a lot of criticism.
And, and he does a fantastic job, and he's got a great backcourt, and they've been in just about every game they played with a really young team that's going to be a real problem going forward.
Might be one of my favorite people I've ever been around in high school sports.
Coach McFadden's hysterical. And
Love
he's
it.
Buckley's up there too. Buckley's up there too.
Yeah. But he's also no nonsense when it comes to on the court.
Yeah.
And
the whistle. You like the whistle?
Yeah.
The whistle's the best.
And yes, he's still.
Can't even pretend.
But he knows basketball.
Yep.
He does a fantastic job, and he's got a really up and coming squad that's going to be really good.
Listen, credit. This segment right now that we just threw up here is part credit to Coach Buckley. Claudio, one of our executive producers, we're going to try to find the clip in which I gave the coach a heart attack when I was joking. And I said, let me introduce the coach, Pat Buckley from Albertus Magnus Middle School. And Coach, it was hilarious.
God,
Coach
the
almost pulled his
outtake.
chair.
It wasn't
The
that
outtake is
funny.
great.
Claudio, was it that funny at the time, Claudio? No, it wasn't.
I think it was that funny. It
wasn't.
showed that the coach had one too many Coca-Colas. Now,
Absolutely.
at Green Tunda, we have a little shout out.
Alexander Hamilton. They're struggling. They're struggling this year. 5-12. They're a team that's probably has a bright future, but they're just the youth and the maturity level. They need to continue to grow as a team, coach. Right?
Right, they got to come together.
We know
They're very
all
young.
those
They're
kids very
young,
well. There's somebody in our family that's a Hamilton grad, ex, and so for
would
us,
would that be the Chris Ward Jr.?
That would be Chris Ward
Would that
Jr.
be Chris
yep.
Ward Jr. that plays professional basketball?
Well, he's going
Atlantic?
to Norway in a couple of weeks. So yeah, but not yet. He's going on trial. He's on a trial.
But wait! Didn't he play last year, Coach, in Spain?
He played in Spain last year.
Exactly. Okay, so not yet. He's not going to dominate the country of Norway.
No,
but he's getting there.
He's getting there.
Yeah.
So
big shout out to Chris Ward Jr.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, John. But Wyatt Cepeda and Hassani Price and Zach Davis, they got figured out. They're a very talented group. It's a very good core, but they've got to get more mature. But they are talented. They've had a lot of close games. They got to figure it out, and hopefully they do, and they should be much better next year as juniors.
Yep. And this last one shows that the show is growing. It's growing very fast, and it's crossing borders because we have at Kim C17.
Speaking of New Jersey.
People must find our show in weird ways. Brick Memorial, Sean Collins scored his 1,000th point last week. Brick Memorial is far, far away.
Shore Conference, South Jersey.
People vacation, like where this
Absolutely.
lives. Yeah, that's it.
I have family down there in Brielle and Manasquan.
Big shout out to Sean, man, 1,000 points. Congratulations. It's a hard thing to do.
So I know that conference.
It's a great conference.
Shore Conference is fantastic.
Everything. Best girls basketball in the tri-state.
Oh, St. John Vianney's down
Public
there.
schools, yeah, of course, yeah.
And now let's go to the segment for KDJ Games to Watch, brought to you by SportsEngine.
All right, so if Anthony Ficarrotta does not break the record tonight, it still won't matter because Monday's game, Byram Hills at Dobbs Ferry, is a great test for Dobbs. They want to get like one real good challenge going into the postseason. This is it. Byram Hills' size and athleticism. Anthony Ficarrotta's not going to be able to just walk into the lane like he does, Euro his way to 40 points. You have to earn it a little differently against Byram Hills. It's going to challenge him defensively. So good matchup. Hastings at Blind Brook, that's a huge game for Class B seeding, for Class B, County Center, who's going to go. So big challenge for the Trojans. Nanuet going to go on the road to Suffern also on Tuesday. New Rochelle at Mamaroneck. So we talked about New Rochelle wanting to kind of maintain their place in the standings and maybe get that home game in the playoffs. I wonder if Mamaroneck would do that almost guarantee it. But they're going to get tested against the Tigers, who are now back on top in Class AAA. And then Rye at Clarkstown North in a huge double A matchup on Wednesday. So that is on the boys' side. On the girls, Saturday you have the Pauline Rickey Showcase, Ossining High School. Coach Ward, you're going to go again this week to the Pauline Rickey Showcase because you went last week when they didn't have it.
I did. I showed up at Ossining and they were in the midst of. They were in the midst of practice.
Anxious because you're texting me on Saturday. I've got like 100 of my own kids' games, and he's like, is the Pauline Rickey event today? And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, it doesn't ring a bell. And I'm like texting him. He goes, because I'm here. I'm like,
they were having practice. They weren't having the game.
No,
Kevin's been waiting all week to drop this one.
Yes, he was.
No, that was great. So next time, ask before you get in the car and drive out to Ossining. And the event in honor of Dan Rickey's late mother, who was an unbelievable supporter of Ossining, of not just of her son, but also just of the program and of the girls in the program. She was such an amazing person. She is in her honor, and so the matchups are Tuckahoe, North Rockland, which give credit to Tuckahoe. They're taking off one of the biggest schools in the section.
By the way, I saw them live against Bronxville too. Coach Carolla does a great job with the Bronxville girls. Vic does a great job. If Silvio's group takes care of the ball the way that I saw, at least for the first 3 quarters of their game, they can get North Rockland.
Definitely. Harrison Ursuline going to be a huge chat. Ursuline has, as we said, they've continued to play well. Just lost to Pelham. Harrison struggling, but we'll see. That's the second matchup. Tappan Zee Ardsley on the girls' side is the third, and then Irvington and Ossining is the final game. Dan Rickey loves playing against Irvington over the years. First time he's going to do it against not Gina Marr as the head coach.
So crazy.
Yeah, so it feels a little weird. Monday's schedule, those are all Saturday, obviously, probably after a show, but Monday is Mayapack at Suffern, Ketchum at Albertus Magnus, and what many could say is a potential championship game preview. Albertus is playing so well. Pearl River girls going to go 2TZ, and Pearl River, very under the radar with all this youth that they have, but a great defensive team. So if one team's going to be able to match the defense and maybe scout and be able to limit what TZ does well, Pearl River might be the team.
I'm going to say it now. I'm going to tell Pearl River girls, you better get back on defense in transition.
Yes.
If you don't, if Coach Wolger does not get them back in transition, that's going to be it'll be over with quickly.
And then Ossining and Rye are going to meet on Wednesday. Another good test for both those teams. Be a pre-tournament test because they're You know, like I've been saying all the time, like at this time of the year, it's like, yeah, it's great to beat a Rye or beat a Mount Vernon like Mamaroneck did yesterday on the boys' side, but you got to do it when it matters. So just good familiarity will help Ossining, I think, if, they're a team that could definitely match up on a given night and beat Rye.
That's in the cube, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
In the cube.
Those are the
and
games.
that's our KDJ games of the week to watch, brought to you by SportsEngine. I want to thank all of the parents, kids, coaches for sending us highlight clips. We want to promote those clips, so please continue to send us to them on Instagram on DM or at the email address shows@thewinningmoments.com. If you're having trouble creating clips, you should definitely sign up for SportsEngine. All the games that are on SportsEngine, it is a very simple platform to create clips for your kids. Thank you, Kevin, for all of that. And we want to make sure that we continue to highlight everybody, so please send it to us. We do the best we can to find you guys. As you can see from Coach's Notebook, he's going to games. Kevin watches more games than anybody that I know, but we're still human and we need your help. So please keep sending it our way. Thank you guys for watching. This is an amazing show. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. And actually, before I go, I do want to thank all the parents and coaches that come up to me when we're walking around the gyms wearing these shirts. A lot of people are asking us where they can buy them. We will soon, very soon, drop these shirts as part of a promotion, a contest that we're going to do. So first one, the way to get them is not to buy them, is to win them. That's coming out soon. Keep your eye on Instagram for that to happen. We're happy to continue to support the kids, and we really enjoy it. Thank you guys.
Outstanding. Thank you, John.
I want to buy one of those shirts too.